That's why they call me bad company. I can't deny.
All right, welcome to the W2W review. I am the Knight, and joining me from his LA studios is the Raider Pirate. What's going on, Pirate?
What's going on, Raider Nation?
All right, Raider Nation, today is Wednesday, October 26, 2016, and we had the privilege this morning of listening to 3 press conferences done by Jack Del Rio, Derek Carr, and Michael Crabtree himself. So today we thought we would go ahead and play those press conferences and give our thoughts on some of the things that they had to say. So, Pirate, go ahead and get us started.
Yeah, well, I thought, Jack Del Rio had some good things to say, particularly the first thing that he kind of went into and talked about was the Tampa Bay's offense and their defense and, how much of a challenge this can be. I mean, again, we're looking at this like, hey, we're going to come in here and we got to win this game. Maybe it's a trap game. But have a listen to what he says right here about their offense and defense.
What kind of problems does a guy like Mike Evans pose? A big guy who's really becoming the number one wideout.
Yeah, he's a really good football player. They target him a lot. We've got a challenge. That's one of many challenges, this week as you study this football team. They're running the ball really well. Mike is playing big for him. Obviously, Jameis, really good football player. So we've got a good group. I think, we expect to see Doug, him coming back potentially. The other backs playing real well anyway, all the backs. So, we've got our challenges on that side. And then, they've got probably the best defensive tackle in the league, certainly in that conversation with McCoy. Somebody that's going to we'll have to know where he is at all times. He's a good football player. So they've got some good players and doing a nice job, and we need to get ourselves ready.
All right, so, it was very interesting. The one thing that stuck out to me, and this has been an ongoing theme, is about our defense. Now, last week we went to that 3-4 cover 2, which it seemed to work a lot better than the 4-3 Seattle-style defense. So what I think it has to be a concern moving forward is the running game of Tampa Bay, as well as Mike Evans, like he's talking about. This is a guy that could beat you over the top. So we got to make sure that we have plenty of help over the top to make sure that we don't give up the big plays. There was a report talking about how good we've been on third downs, getting off the field. That's good, but the reason that we look good on third downs is because we don't allow teams to get to third down. They're constantly getting first downs and then some on first and second down. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, and let's see if they carry over this 3-4 cover 2 defense and see how they can improve on it.
Yeah, what stood out to me was the fact that, again, this is kind of what this defense was designed for. You want to design yourself for these bigger kind of wide receivers, right? We talked about it. The little shifty wide receivers give guys like Sean Smith and David Amerson, they give them problems. But I think, again, these two corners are more suited toward guys like Anquan Bolden, big, strong, fast, possession-type receivers. This guy, Mike Evans, has been phenomenal. I mean, he beat the 49ers last week over the top, but he was also beating them underneath. He's a red zone threat. The guy's fast. He's strong. He high points the ball, and he's got size. I mean, he's got a lot of size. So, once again, this kind of plays into – this should technically play into what our offense was designed to do. Now, we're just going to have to see exactly, how good, these cornerbacks are against the run.
And the biggest key to me, too, is also the fact that, this running game that they showed last week, the last 2 weeks, they could really run this football. So our defensive front and our linebackers, especially in that 3-4 look where we're bringing some extra linebackers in to kind of help hit those gaps, we got to be solid in our run gaps. We got to make sure that they don't run all over us, because that's what's really going to help Mike Evans out. Like you said, I think the corners match up really well against guys like Mike Evans, but I think it's really going to be essential that we stop the run first.
Yeah, let's take a listen to what he had to say, about the defense and whether giving up a lot of yards was important or the turnover differential. Let's take a listen to this.
Well, winning critical factors is imperative. It's really about winning games. So there's nothing more important than the turnover battle, and third downs, red zones, things like that are more important than gross yardage. But certainly want to be good in all phases, and work to rectify any problems that we're having. But certainly protecting the ball, is a priority for us, and taking it away from our opponent. So we've been pretty solid to start the year.
All right, this is the part of the presser that really caught my attention. We've been talking about it here since the season started. We talk about the conservative play calling of Bill Musgrave, and I said it a few times throughout the course of the season already that Jack Del Rio's a part of it. Jack Del Rio's a defensive-minded coach. He was this way in Jacksonville. I told you I saw some footage when he was in Jacksonville telling his offensive coordinator when to press the gas and when to lay off. This is the kind of style of offense that Jack Del Rio wants Bill Musgrave to run. The key statement that I heard him say here was, it's a priority for us to protect the football. Once again, a priority for us to protect the football. I think that's where Bill Musgrave gets a lot of that. I'm going to be conservative. I'm going to call plays in certain down and distances that's going to get us off the field without turning the ball over, give our guys the chance to make special team plays and our defense to come on the field. That's a Jack Del Rio philosophy just as much as it is a Bill Musgrave play call.
Yeah, and again, Jack is pretty comfortable with the bend but don't break system. They're allowing big chunks of yardage, like you said. If you allow them to get a first down on second down, but then you do stop them when you do get them into the third down, and particularly in the red zone, even though you're giving up huge chunks of yards and you look really horrible. The bottom line is that when everything gets condensed, this defense plays pretty good. Goal line stands, intercepting the ball in the end zone. When these corners don't have to be 20 yards back, they're pretty good, and they can stay with their man, and they can utilize that length that they have. So defensively, like Jack said, he's comfortable with the fact that they're allowing teams to move down the field. But when it comes to scoring, when it comes to the red zone or third downs that they really need to make, they're doing a really good job. Let's go ahead. We want to give a special kind of shout out today. We don't have a lot of time, but we want to give a shout out to Marquette King. He talked about Marquette King. It's Marquette King's birthday. Talked about what a weapon that he is, and how he's only 28 years old, and he's improving, and he's maturing, and he's going to get better. Coffin kicking, a big leg, his athletic ability. We're going to go ahead and skip that part. But your thoughts on Marquette King, partner?
Well, first off, happy birthday to Marquette King.
Absolutely.
AFC's Special Teams Player of the Week, by the way. What a birthday gift that was. Yeah, Marquette King is someone that has developed into just probably one of our biggest weapons on this football team. You look at the special teams as a whole, you got a big leg field goal kicker, accurate kicker, and Sebastian Janikowski, and now you just added a big leg punt guy who can punch it inside the 20 from all over the field, and a guy that showed last week that he could take the ball and run for 28 yards for a first down. This is going to put him in another category now. Every time that he's back there to punt, the special teams of the opposing defense is going to have to be on their pins and needles saying, okay, they could fake it here if they wanted to. This guy is a weapon. So that's going to help our coverage guys get down there and make some plays down the field, which is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the final thing that Jack Del Rio touched on, I think that was interesting to me, was the fact that they asked him about Reggie Nelson. This is a guy, again, at the beginning of the season, we were all over him. Too slow. He's lost a step. He's out of position. He's doing this and that. Let's have a listen to what Jack says right here.
Somehow.
Reggie Nelson has been involved in 4 of your 13 takeaways. Seem to have a nose for the ball, and then the second part, where do you want to see him make strides as the season goes along?
Just continue to be himself. Really happy about adding Reggie. He's going to get his turnovers. He led the league last year, so he's going to be around the ball, continue to do his thing. He's tackling well, being a leader back there for us. Just continue to play good football.
All right, so The thing that stuck out to me on this, Reggie, we brought Reggie in to basically be Charles Woodson's replacement. We've said time and time again, we never expected Reggie Nelson to come in here and be Charles Woodson. But this was a great pickup by the Raiders, and we haven't really seen exactly what we expected anyway from Reggie Nelson up until this point. Although last week you saw it and the week before, he's starting to pick up some steam. And I think once again, I'm going to bring it up, this 3-4 cover 2 scheme is allowing him to play a little faster. He's always around the football. And as long as this defense continues to grow and gel, you're going to see Reggie Nelson, even at an older age, start to play faster. This guy was tied for the lead in interceptions last year with the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're going to start seeing that roll over. Even if he does not lead the league this year, he's going to be a guy that's going to help with that, +8 turnover ratio.
Yeah, and the thing that stood out to me as well is the fact that bringing in Perry Riley Jr. in free agency, again, he could be the same. He could have the same type of impact as a David Amerson did last year. It allows us to move Corey James to be, he's a much better inside linebacker than he is a middle linebacker. I think we knew that coming into the season, but out of necessity, they had to put him there. Perry Riley comes in. And he's just a linebacker. I mean, this is a guy that just knows what to do. He's stout against the run. He doesn't bite on certain things. He knows what he's looking at. And I think he's going to solidify that interior. So now what you're going to see, again, is Reggie Nelson isn't having to come up and try to play the middle of the field as well as play the deep safety. They've changed the defensive philosophy a little bit, but I think as this defense begins to gel, what's going to happen is he's going to be able to sit back there and play deeper back. He's not going to have to come up and bite on the run because now you can trust your front three to kind of keep your linebackers clean. You can trust your linebackers to run and hit, and now you just have to basically play off of your wide receivers, whichever cornerback you're going to be helping in that single high. So. I will get into it in this next half, but, these guys stuck to their guns, this coaching staff. I was wrong. This coaching staff really stuck to their guns, and they decided that they were going to kind of play the players that they had and keep those players in certain positions. I wanted Carl Joseph to be deep. I thought it would, they could take more advantage of his speed. But this coaching staff, I think, probably looked at him and said, look, he's too young for that type of responsibility. And like I said, they stuck to their guns. Jack stuck to his guns. And this defense is getting better. We've watched it be horrible. We're watching it get a little bit better. And once it catches up to this offense, boy, this team is going to be really, really dangerous.
There's definitely plenty to be excited about, whether it's the play of Reggie Nelson or the play of Riley in the middle, or the exciting news that, at least I'm assuming by Denver, we'll have Mario Edwards Jr. back. So there's a lot of things to be excited for as we move forward. So all in all, I believe it was a good press conference. When you really dig deep into it, there's a lot of good information there. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we get back, we are going to take a look at what Derek Carr had to say, as well as Michael Crabtree. There's a lot of good information there, and we will continue that after this break. So stay tuned.
Carpets is celebrating the holidays with a huge inventory clearance sale. We have the best prices and guaranteed installation. Why would you buy anywhere else? Whether you're looking for laminate, vinyl, carpet, tile, or wood, we have it all. Save up to 50% on selected items. Room size rugs, only $69. Visit Carpets at one of our 6 Bay Area locations or call us at 1-800-355-4MMM.
All right, welcome back to the W2W Review. I am the Knight, joined by the Pirate. All right, now we're going to go ahead and jump on into Derek Carr's press conference, as well as Michael Crabtree's press conference that we listened to earlier. Let's go ahead and start off with Derek Carr, Pirate. The press conference, once again, was very interesting. There's a lot of good nuggets in there that we could pull out, especially about the offensive scheme. So I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Pirate. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on what you thought about Derek Carr's press conference.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit vanilla, but there were some good points. Like I said, we're just kind of leading up into this week's game, but I thought, they brought up Donald Penn and what a great job Donald Penn was doing. Again, this goes to Reggie McKenzie. Not panicking, not running out there and throwing up a huge contract and being able to get Donald Penn at a reasonable price, having him come in here and anchor this line. Derek Carr and him have a relationship, the big brother, little brother. He's out there to protect and defend Derek Carr. And there's this bond that they have between them, blindside protector. So I think that that's a great thing. I think that Donald Penn, again, has been playing. If he would have went somewhere else, if he would have went to Cleveland, if he would have went, just chase the money like some of these guys do, I think he would probably be in a different place right now, probably not playing at the level that he is. Playing with these guys, with this football team, I think has really given him kind of a new sense of life. This isn't Tampa Bay. This is the Raiders, and he's got a quarterback, and he's got a head coach, and he's got a football team, and I think that's given him a new lease on life, if you ask me.
I think it's great. I really do. I think it's a great story. I think it's great for this football team. He's from L.A. He grew up a Raider fan. And again, we talked about it yesterday, the greatness that's become this offensive line, its versatility, the way that it's growing together. We have not seen this offensive line reach its full potential. We talked again about that yesterday. Donald Penn is a big key to that. I mean, his attitude and his love for not only the football team itself, but for his quarterback. And when you talk about your left tackle, this is exactly what you want from your left tackle. You want a guy that wants to protect his quarterback. If he didn't care as much as he does for Derek Carr, maybe at his age he wouldn't be playing to the level in which he's playing at. But this guy is motivated week in and week out for the love that he has for his quarterback. I think it's a great story. Derek Carr also touched upon the fact that he's returning to Tampa, the team that cut him before that we got him. Now, granted, I don't always buy into a lot of the emotion that goes on when players return because, like Derek Carr said too, I mean, everybody does it, right? Everybody goes back to a place they once was. It's a normal thing. However, my only point I want to bring up about it, just to keep an eye out, don't let the emotions of that get into the way of what your job is. And I've got full confidence that Donald Penn won't. Even though he is an emotional guy, I really believe that he'll take it and help elevate his game versus hurting his game. So there's a lot to be excited about Donald Penn and his return to Tampa.
Yeah, and, Derek Carr and Michael Crabtree, I think they both kind of touched on how teams were trying to take away certain players, whether it be Cooper or Carr, and how great it was that if they did do that, that there was another option. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what he said about that.
Clear against Jacksonville that they wanted to take Amari as out of the game as possible. It seemed like against Kansas City, Marcus Peters was on crab a lot. Having those other options that you trust, how much of a benefit is it that if a defense wants to scheme against one guy, you have another number one? Basically.
Yeah, our staff does a great job of giving me multiple options, versus the coverages and even things that they might do. We have set things for that. You got to prepare for things that maybe they haven't shown, but they could show. You got to always be ready for everything. And I think that our staff does an amazing job of giving me a lot of options. For those instances, if they're going to take Coop away this game, we got to get the other guys going. If they're going to take Crab away, we got to get the other guys going. And what's great about that room is they're all good with it. We just want to win. That's what it comes down to. How can we push the ball down the field? How can we move the ball, whether it's running it, that one drive? I think we threw 2 passes on a long play drive. But when you're running the ball, I don't care. Run it 80 times. I don't care. I just want to win, So I think our staff does an amazing job of filling that kind of stuff out if they're trying to take one or the other away.
Anything more here, guys?
What did you thought of
Michael Crabtree coming.
What are your thoughts on the Bucs secondary, especially Grimes, a veteran young guy like Hargraves? What are your thoughts? What are you seeing so far in film? What do you think about?
Very very athletic. Grimes is one of the most pound for pound, one of the best athletes in this league. It's not it's not even close. The guy can jump out the gym. He can stop on a dime. Makes it real tough. I played against him when he was in Miami. Real good player. Very very good player. And the other guy, the rookie, he's a really good player as well. You can see it. You see why he's a first-round pick. You see why he went to Florida, why he was a high school, All-American, all those things. You can see all those things about him, and you know why.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've touched upon myself many times on the after shows and moving forward. Go ahead, take one guy off the field. Go ahead and eliminate Cooper. Go ahead and eliminate Crabtree. Pick your poison. I've always said, if they're going to shut down one, you're just opening up the door for the other one to have a big game. We saw that last week. There was a lot said about Cooper. He didn't really get involved, but he was involved. He had 5 targets, 4 receptions for 39 yards. It was just enough to keep the defense honest. If they're going to have a guy like Jalen Ramsey shutting a guy like Cooper down, that's exactly when you want to see a guy like Michael Crabtree come alive and do his job. And that's what we're getting week in and week out. I believe it was the week before Crabtree had the hot hand 2 weeks ago. Then we head into the Chiefs game, and the tension was on Crabtree, and Cooper went off. This is the kind of thing that I'm looking for week in and week out. We are going to be running into a team soon, though, that has 2 great corners, so that will change the dynamic, and we could talk about that in a couple of weeks. But again, I really like this team. I like the fact that you have essentially 2 number 1 receivers on the field at all times. I think that helps this passing game excel.
Yeah, and he also touched on the fact that, you can, if it doesn't work out, that he could utilize the punter Marquette King. So again, he touched on King as well, that the coaching staff has told him, hey, don't be afraid. Use every facet of this football team. As the quarterback, you have to use every facet of this football team, whether it be your offense in terms of what wide receiver you throw it to, whether we're running the ball. And like he said, he just wants to win. He doesn't care if they're running or passing. But more importantly, if it comes down to 3rd and 20 or whatever, you don't have to try to get that first down, because you can rely on your special teams. Marquette King pinning somebody back. Special teams has been doing a phenomenal job. Also, your defense, go ahead and trust in your defense. So as a quarterback, someone like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, they kind of understand that development. I don't know if Blake Bortles, I don't know if Jameis Winston or any of these younger quarterbacks quite understand or can process that kind of information like Derek Carr can. We've said it a lot. He checks down, he does this, he does that, but he's really kind of understanding. And in our final point, I've got a confession to make, but he's understanding that, look, it's not just coming down to me and me making these big throws. It really comes down to me understanding the game, being a coach and a general on the field, making the throws when they're available, staying within the system, not trying to be an arrow, but more so being water and just kind of flowing to wherever we could find an opening to make this offense move. And if we can't, utilizing our special teams as a part of our offense in terms of our punter, and then allowing our defense, as they're beginning to grow and get better, to also get us the ball back or to hold other teams out so that we can drive the ball down the field. So I thought that was an interesting point.
And again, it was funny in Jack Del Rio's press conference. It helped explain why Bill Musgrave's the way he is, right? In Derek Carr's press conference, you get a little bit of why you see so much conservativeness as well when it comes to the play calling. We were talking before the show, and I had mentioned to you, we don't exactly know on some of these passing. The obvious ones, okay, there's the wide receiver screens, the running back screens behind the line of scrimmage, and the draw plays. Okay, we understand that's a play call. But some of these plays where we get frustrated a little bit that it's not being pushed up the field enough, this goes to show you that's not necessarily Bill Musgrave, right? That is Derek Carr, and Derek Carr has been trained, like you mentioned, like he mentioned too, in his press conference. He's going to use all aspects of his game: the defense, the special teams, the whole nine. So his thought process is, I think Derek Carr just needs maybe to get better, right, on just giving it time, doing the same thing, but just maybe allowing his receivers to get a little bit more time to get open down the field, but. At the end of the day, this guy's protecting the football. And trust me, if he was pushing it too soon and he was turning the ball over more than we were getting it, that would be another problem. So, again, kudos to this team for really believing in itself, the game plan they put together, and sticking to it and not making a mess of things. There's some credit we have to give to that. You're right.
Yeah, Michael Crabtree sort of pointed out a couple of things too. One of the things that I noticed myself is that he certainly looks uncomfortable in these press conferences. He's wiping his forehead, he's kind of playing with his beard, he's doing all these different kinds of things. He's not making eye contact with people, and that's a lot different than the Michael Crabtree that I remember. Coming to San Francisco, the Michael Crabtree at the draft that was, I don't want to play for that team, and oh my God, I'm the next great Jerry Rice out of Texas Tech, and he's had a long road from that point. But it's kind of funny. I'm used to it from Cooper. We saw Cooper that way in college. We see him that way now as he came to the Raiders, and he was that way last year. And he's opened up a little bit this year. But it's just funny to me watching Michael Crabtree how different he appears on this Raider football team.
It's funny. When I looked at Michael Crabtree in his press conference, I thought of a female analogy. He's going through menopause. He's going through a little change. He's having some hot flashes up there. He's having flashbacks to what he was in San Francisco, to what he became now, right? Now, to this guy, it screams maturity to me. When I think of what's going on with Michael Crabtree now, a real quarterback, he's mentioned it, versus what he had. The offensive system's working for him. He believes. I mean, he was even shouting out all the other receivers and all of them doing their job, them all being prepared and ready for the ball at any given time. Everything that we believe Michael Crabtree was in San Francisco, he is not here, and this team is benefiting from it. All the way back to before the season end, he went out and signed a contract to stay here. It really does speak volumes of what Jack Del Rio, Reggie McKenzie, and this organization has started to build inside. I mean, we look at all the key guys from Crabtree to Mack to Coop and to Carr, all very mature, humbled individuals when they're addressed by the media or when they handle themselves on the field. Is something that we should be very proud about.
So those are, again, all interesting things, and this will all point back, I think, to once again, like we talked about, the general manager being able to bring in a guy like Michael Crabtree, being on the low, Donald Penn. All of those guys have just been really fantastic pickups by Reggie McKenzie. Not going out and overspending, bringing in a guy like Amerson off the waiver wire, bringing in the middle linebacker that we needed. We didn't have him at the beginning of the season. All these things have been, absolutely fantastic in my opinion, in terms of building a core around these guys that has really been able to excel.
To our last point. Our last little thought of the day, if you will. So for me, it's going to be really simple. I said it towards the end here. I like this coaching staff and the fact that it's able to put a game plan together, really stick to it, and not listening to what the media has to say or what us fans have to say at times. They really come in, they stay true to their word, they stay tight into the plan that they have in front of them, and when they have to make the hard changes, they do it. We saw it last week when they went through the 3-4 cover 2 and how that really helped this defense excel. It was probably the best defensive performance we've seen. They still gave up big plays. They still had some down stuff that they need to work on. But in a whole, I see this team really understanding their players and what they want from their players. And there's some pieces that are going to be coming back that's going to help that moving forward, whether it's, Medelik Watson going to be returning on the offensive line, or whether it's Mario Edwards getting ready to be implemented into the defensive line. This coaching staff has done a great job of the next man up philosophy, as well as sticking to what it is that they personally believe in, whether we like it or not. You want to be conservative? Be conservative. It's working. We're 5-2. If you want to take chances on defense and bend and don't break, but make sure that when you have the opportunity to get off the field, you do it. Continue to do it. I mean, as a fan and as an analyst, I really want to see this team, be a little bit more aggressive. I ain't gonna never just, turn away from that. But at the end of the day, I believe that this team has the pieces and the coaching that it's going to take to get the job done. So I'm excited as we move forward. Pirate?
Yeah, well, I sort of looked at this and the way I see it is a little bit like I'm glad that this team has a family feel to it, a family vibe to it. Derek Carr said, whether we're home or we're away, we stick together. We hang out together. We're interested in what everybody else is doing, even when we're home and we have our families. If you take a look at a team like the Bears, I don't think Jay Cutler's hanging out with the rest of his team. I don't think Jay Cutler's calling his team up and trying to figure out, hey guys, let's hang out, let's get tight, let's get invested in one another. And like they said, this time that they've got, these 2 weeks that they have in Tampa, in Florida, it's really allowing them to kind of get even stronger without having to be competing against one another. So like they said, this is sort of like a mini camp, except for the fact that I'm not worried I'm getting cut coming out of this. I may not be the starter, but I know that I'm going to be dressed, and I know that I'm going to be on the field and helping in some way my guys in order to get a victory. So you look at Michael Crabtree, he's just, you know what? Hey, whoever gets the ball gets the ball. We're just trying to make plays. We're just working. We're just here watching film. Same thing with Derek Carr. This is business. He's got a look in his eye. He's got an understanding. He's struggled, but the bottom line right now is that he's focused on moving forward. Jack Del Rio, once again, he's pulled this staff together, and he's got the players playing for him. He's got the players believing in him. He did enough to get these guys to believe with this 5-2 record that anything is possible if they all just continue to move in the same direction. So this tightness that you see, it's corny, but it reminds me of the Patriots when they won the Super Bowl. They didn't go out as the offense and I'm the quarterback. And they kind of went out there as, hey, we're the Patriots. This is us. This is our football team. Nobody stands out. Nobody's bigger than anybody else. And I think that's allowed guys like Khalil Mack to not get down. It's allowed guys like David Amerson or Sean Smith to not get down, knowing that everybody believes in them and everybody will continue to come to them and tell them, hey, let's just go. Let's continue to play. So, I really took out of it that this is a team that's getting stronger, will continue to get stronger. And as we move into this heavier part of the schedule, they're going to be playing for each other. And in football, that's, I think it was Al Pacino that said, hey, that's all it is, right? It's guys that are willing to fight for one another to get that inch. It's that simple. We're gonna work together, or we're gonna work separate. That's football. That's all it is. You work separate, you fail. You work together. More often than not, you're gonna succeed. So, all in all, a good press conference, and we got a good game coming up. Tough team, and Jack pointed that out right at the beginning. But once again, we're developing into a mentally tough football team and a physically very talented offense that has a defense that looks like they just might be catching up if things continue in the same trend.
Absolutely, brother. Once again, this team has a lot to work on, but it's doing a lot of things so well that we're 5-2. There's a lot of stuff that's going to happen that we're going to set us back a little bit. But once again, it's proven that this coaching staff finds a way to pick up those pieces and turn it into a positive as we move forward. That's going to be our time for today. We would like to thank you guys for tuning in today to the W2W Review. Just remember, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at The Will to Win, as well as email us any concerns at thewtw@gmail.com. That is thewtw@gmail.com. For the Raider Pirate, I'm the Knight, and until tomorrow, you stay Raider strong.
And that's why they call me